All right. So let's get to it. We've got Louis MT going up against Chuck Norrisaurus Rex. I'm trying to remember who this player was. Did we ever get a confirmed identity on them? This was Wham, right? I think this was Wham. That's right, Recon. I know nothing about games, dude. I haven't put more hours of my life into games than most sane people would ever. Wham or Puppy? Yeah, I think it's Wham or Puppy. So Japanese versus Chinese, though, it's like an interesting matchup, right? Because you'd think this would just be one-sided in China's favor, and it is if you get late enough. But the cool thing about Japan, they have one trick. I mean, they literally have one trick in every single type of game. And that's the Rush Castle Age. And with that Castle Age, the Surge Point is what's threatening here. So really, the goal of the Chinese player in this matchup is to survive that initial Castle Surge and then come out ahead in the late game. That's how you dominate this. So what you're probably going to see in this game, I'm expecting to probably still get a 2TC build out of the Chinese with Song. And then you'll likely see villagers walked out to wall off the relics. Meanwhile, the goal for blue is going to be to rush those relics and then surge knights into Onibagisha as a transition, because that's a very strong point in the game. So Louis' goal really is to grief blue's timings around relics and then hunker down so he's safe. Oh, I'm sorry, Crackety. Have you not played Byzantines for the last 2 weeks? Are you hoping that they won't get nerfed if you stop playing them and winning with them? Opening from Louis, you don't like it? What part don't you like? Oh wait, yeah, I just noticed. You're right. It's the Imperial Official build, right? I don't know why Louis still fixated on this. I gave him the benefit of the doubt at the start of the year when he started doing it, and every player who's been doing it, I've not been convinced. I don't understand how it's better than going IO. The IO opening just feels better, and also the other thing is like you're getting more resources longer, and what I mean by that is like that Imperial Official is going to turn this finite resource, such as food, into a larger quantity. You're going to get 20% more of that finite resource, right? So I just don't... Considering the difference in resource count when I've watched games, I haven't seen anyone being ahead on this build compared to just going Imperial Official straight away. The argument is like, oh yeah, but you have like one extra villager than you would otherwise. I just don't think it's worth it. The Canadians just saying it is better, you convince them it's not. Dude, Crackety is like here on it. The moment he sees a Chinese comment about like something being ideal or whatever, boom, straight in there. So my area of expertise is Japanese because I'm a nerd about this civ. This civ is... If you all thought HRE was one-dimensional, I've got news. It's harsh as well, because like Japan has some very cool unit types, and there's a little bit of diversity there, but the problem is the overarching build order and the strategy isn't different. Every game is fast castle. If it's not fast castle, it feels like you're trying to lose the game, right? The only time you will see a Japanese player not go fast castle is when they are forced to stay in feudal. Yes, Crackety. That's my point, though. Like, so this is the thing. I said it with the different units you build. They are incredible. I actually think that more civs should be designed with what they've done with Japan in mind. Like, there is a lot of unique ideas there I'm a big fan of. But legit, the problem is, why would you do any of them when like you can just do fast castle and build knights? I mean, even on water maps, it's kind of got like funky, right? Like the Shinobi from the Koka Township, you still do it, but it doesn't feel as good as it once did either. There's a lot of kind of issues with Japan right now. I think one of the biggest ones is just their economy. A lot of their strategies can't make sense until you're late in the game because you just can't afford it, right? Like Onibagisha spamming is very expensive. Massing Samurai is very expensive. You know, what was your play? You go Castle Age because you play Relics, right? The way I kind of envision Japan is genuinely like old HRE. They need it. Oh, did I do my title wrong? Yeah, I did. Yeah, let's get that trash recon out. There we go. So yeah, I think this is Wham, though. That's what we're gambled on. We know it's either Wham, Puppy Pool, or Magic. This account in blue has basically been ranked 20th and I think like 25th in the last 2 seasons. And I think right now they're around 20th. Louis going for that 2TC build we expected. We're probably looking at a condensed 2TC. He has already got the deer being shoved in. Mwah! Now, like, this is the beauty, especially when you're against like one of the Canadians just using the deer shoves, which I think they were most responsible for making popular. Dark Age Bannerman Rush? Oh, that build was kind of cool, right? The Gather Stone and then drop a Stables to get an Uma Bannerman out. It wasn't a terrible idea. I just think, once again, compared to just rushing Castle Age, I mean, that build usually just resorted in you rushing Castle Age anyway. The whole idea is if you're against another Booming Civ, you baited them. First Bannerman without Daimyo? That would be an interesting buff. I actually think that that would solve a lot of the problems. The only issue then is you need to find a way of locking the Uma Bannerman. Because the Uma Bannerman is a knight. And getting the knight straight away is kind of absurd. It's like, maybe you just make the Bannerman or Horseman when he's in Feudal, and he upgrades to a knight when he's Castle Age. That would be cool. Floating Gate now on the way. Wow, what an innovative build. Guys, let me know in the chat if you've never seen this build before. One's in the chat if you've never seen a Floating Gate coming out this early. I mean, it's crazy. This Civ has so many options in Feudal Age. Why would they ever rush Castle? Because the Mounted Samurai are king. I think Mounted Samurai actually are probably going to need a tweak after they buff something else. The reality is, like, I thought about this, and I actually think Mounted Samurai are like the best Castle Age heavy cav in the game. There is not a single one I can think of that's better. Someone's going to say French Knights, I'm going to shake my head. Because like a French Knight, you charge in, your charge gets completely negated, but you take a charge damage instead. OTD Knights? Okay, so Recon, if you, like, So if you could have one OTD Knight or two Mounted Samurai, are you really going to choose the OTD Knight? Because I'm not letting you get, dude, I'm not letting you get away from this. You didn't even, no, there it is. It has to be based on cost, right? Because otherwise, you could have went with Cataphracts being better than Mounted Samurai. But like, legit, if you're thinking about the cost of a unit, and in Castle Age and how you can buff it, you know, even this whole argument, like you go Raw Institute, it makes it close, but then you've also got to consider the extra melee text along the way, and by the time you got Raw Institute, okay, I'm allowed an Uma Bannerman then. Boom. Right? Like, actually, the sad reality of Raw Institute is Raw Institute feels really underwhelming as well, because the initial value point is Cantled Saddles, but if you build Cantled Saddles, you do no damage. Like, you get plus 10 damage to lose all that damage, right? Like, it's wild. This matchup, by the way, like, China is going to play a little bit longer in the Feudal Age. They're just going to kind of inflate their economy. He didn't go for the wall-in on the relics, which is really surprising to me. So, this is a game... Okay, I'm changing... This isn't WoW, this is Puppy Paw. That is literally all the confirmation I need. Puppy Paw is the biggest Yumi advocate playing the game right now. Like, Puppy Paw stream comes in, Faye has to leave the chat. Because he does this so often. We've got a Yumi build. Recon's going to try to destroy me? Dude, you'd have to be present in AoE4 for that. I see you in Stormgate. I know what you up to. Stacy. Louis. Now, okay, this is just getting weird. He's built Yumi against a Civ that can build Chikanu. This is like the most elaborate bait, right? Because he's just going to come over the top with, I'm guessing, Samurai here? Mounted Samurai, maybe? It's such a wild build, actually. I mean, I guess you could just answer with Mass Mangoes, right? Like, that's something that the Japanese do really well because you can Euroshiro drop a Siege Workshop. And so far, we're looking at, what? 2 relics basically at home. Other ones on the right side. Walls are basically walling Louis out of those relics right now. I would love to see him just come out into the mid, wall here, and then wall up here. Because here's the other thing. This fully backs my idea of walling these relics being good. Your opponent went Yumi. He has no way of breaking through the walls. OG units are crazy with Holy Inspiration, otherwise they're too expensive. Not true. There is one unit in the Order of the Dragon Arsenal that is worth building, even if you don't have Holy Inspiration. Do you know what that unit is? Get your answers in chat. This is pretty cool, though. The Yumi Mask, like, it's tough because Louis should, in theory, shred these, but he just doesn't have the numbers. And there's no kiting, right? The Villager? Good answer. All right. I will admit there is a second one that's fairly good, though. It's the Lancenex. Lancenex stats are a bit padded for what they are. They're actually a bit too good. You just don't really see it because everything around them sucks. What a cool approach, though. So let's talk about why you do this if you are Puppy Paw. It's pretty smart, actually. You go for the Yumi because this is a raiding unit. I think people really misunderstand the Yumi a lot of the times. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely needs some sort of tweak, some sort of buff, but fundamentally, this is a raider. It allows you to dive very quickly into the enemy base and find eco kills for practically no loss because they're so cheap and so damn fast. So love to see this type of build coming out from Puppy Paw. The reason it's smart here is if he'd gone for Mount Samurai, China would just spam Spearmen. They defend. Okay? If you went for Samurai, they're too slow. If you go for Onabagisha, they die to Chukenu. And the interesting part to me is that he hasn't tried to make his way into the tree line yet. It's weird the way he's weaving around the Barbican. He was a little bit delayed to get the Yumi upgrade, but now that this is in, it should be a dive. I think he's trying to time it right for a tech up. No textiles either for Louis. Microing back may be worth it right now. Microing back may be... Well, right. Never mind. Okay. I mean, maybe I'm just imagining it, and microing wouldn't have helped at all, but I feel like pulling away might have worked a bit better for Puppy Paw there than standing his ground, right? It's tough because it's a small difference in range, but you have extra movement speed, so in theory it works. Looks like he's going to pick him down now. Louis has to rebulk into more Chiganu. Now, keep in mind that the numbers are ramping up, right? Like, I think we have additional archery ranges. Oh, my. It's 6 archery ranges worth of production. That is a wild build. What a cool one as well. Village is now being sniped. Louis, he has got a substantial eco lead, but it doesn't really count for much if you're idled up on half your base. So critical that he gets more units out. What he really needs is a rush Nesta Bees. 1 or 2 Nesta Bees solves this entirely. Why not go Yumi and Horseman now? It's too much food. Like, you just don't have the food for it. Look at his food income. This guy is barely able to afford 6 archery ranges producing these guys every 13 seconds. And you want him to build ponies too? Level 2 ranged upgrade also on the way. More villagers being targeted. I mean, I think Louis just made kind of a bit of a blunder not getting textiles here. Feels like it definitely would have been worth it. Palace Guard are at least now being queued up. Louis, interesting time to go back to work. I actually think that they're a lot closer than they appear, right? Like, it's a 20 eco lead, but you have to remember the relics. Some are at least being guarded, so it looks like there's a little bit of a blocker there for Puppy Paw, but the Yumi spam. Alright, Louis desperately needs to get level 2 ranged armor right now. Because otherwise, this will, surprisingly enough, hurt the Palace Guard, right? They're sitting at 4 ranged armor, and they're up against 9 damage. Bannerman's in, baby. It's party time. Dude, this Yumi-only challenge. It's actually so big brain because this matchup is meant to be you spam Onabagisha, you try to win the game, and then if your opponent ever gets Imp, you on House Guard, you lose, right? He's not even letting it get to that point, but it's a similar logic that you just don't let the Chinese scale. But the cool thing I like about this is just you're a little bit more cost efficient in your trades, right? Like, Onabagisha, a lot of them die with dive. Yumi's more of kind of like an in-out, not much invested type unit. What I mean by that is like, oh, you can just probe and then get away. For Onabagisha to probe, they basically have to be on top of their targets. That brings additional risk. Finally, Louis is going towards those Nesta Bees. That's the thing that he's missing here, right? Like, I'm a bit surprised he didn't prioritize queuing one up straight away on the edge up. This is the way you win, because the downside, the negative to this Yumi, very squishy. Only 70 HP on a Castle Age unit. Remember, that means they basically are getting Feudal Age health in Castle Age. So Nesta Bees, perfect answer to them. I love the fact he sent 1 Yumi to deal with 1 veteran Shuganu. No. The Nesta Bees will get killed by archers. Dude, they must have been drinking a lot of protein if they're that strong. Last time I checked, they're a little bit flimsy. They haven't been taking advantage of the offer we've got going. Kill a pigeon. Check out. Villagers. This is what I mean. Like, Yumi. Oh, no. A bad fight? Let me just walk away. It's a similar concept to why horsemen can be very powerful. Right? Oh, no. Don't want this fight. Leave. But what I love about this kind of concept is we've seen a lot of players focusing around the idea of Mountain Samurai. which wins the initial castle age, but the way you win the game is zerging. Right? Japan is a zerg civ. There's no getting away from it. Are they the biggest zerg civ? I think Malians would want to talk to them, but they are definitely like top 3 most zergy civs in the game. This is all about overwhelming with numbers. This is like sending 1 million zerglings into the base against a handful of Protoss's best. Now the Nesta Bees. It can only kill us if we don't kill it first. Honestly, I think Louis blundered, man. He needed more Nesta Bees. The fact he went Palace Guard for some reason instead of just spamming knobs, I can't fathom it, man. If he got 3 Nesta Bees, I think this whole strategy doesn't work. Here we go. Dive in again. Get on top, boys. What are you countering again? I'm not quite sure. Help, help, help. Out of all the ways to die. So funny thing is, Nesta Bees essentially shoots a bunch of different arrows at targets, right? In a way. Oh, that's exactly what Yumi are doing in this mass as well. And there it is. I was waiting for the moment. Like, you can't win the game with Yumi, right? You can do a lot, but you can't actually win the game on its own unless someone just GG's out. This is the thing that's going to be permanent. Samurai queued up. Looks like we got some relic grabs, though. Louis did at least bring one home, but it's going to be a 4-1 split. Okay. Any game where you have to do this, it's bad, guys. We've got a few Chinese players in chat. They'll agree. When you have to keep drop berries and deer, this is the type of thing you do to secure your farm area or secure a big gold or a sacred site. He's up against the edge of the map using one to secure food. A Chinese boy is in rough shape here. He has a grand total of 7 military pop. You can't notice the difference between the feudal and castle Yumi. The castle Yumi get these really cool hats that makes them all look like ministers. Oh, man. I mean, you know, I'm saying this Poppy Ball. If we're being totally real, him and Wham scrim a lot. It's always possible that Wham's started to agree with the Yumi way. But the reason I'm saying it's Poppy Paw is Poppy Paw was the first person doing this regularly. Like, I remember we cast a game between him and Don several weeks ago that was absolutely absurd, where he just spammed Yumi against Delhi. Like, out of all the players, I struggle to find a player competing right now that's been exploring the Yumi more than Poppy Paw. Maybe Corvinus. I know he's been playing a lot of games recently, but I'm not sure how many. You thought they just got some hair dye? I'm sorry, you think these aren't hats, but they're just going Johnny Bravo in the black? I love the fact that for some reason we've got Unamushi coming. I guess, you know, a little bit maybe worried slightly about the Palace Guard. I think it's more about raiding, though. But look at what's happening. He's starting to stockpile resources. We might be looking at Imperial soon. Wham in absolute peak form? You think it's just Wham in peak form? I think Poppy Paw as well. Are you sure it's not Poppy Paw in peak form and you like, couldn't tell the difference between the two twins, Crackety? I think they're both in peak form. They're looking the best they have. So what does Louis do here? He has at least got the walls to hide behind. Farms are coming in. More stones being gathered, so we should get, like, what, double keep drop? I think one north side, maybe one in the main. That'll slow things down. Honestly, at this stage, I think blue just techs up. Samurai diving in. It's kind of cool, right? Like, he's slowly scaling the Samurai, but look at the reserves he's keeping back. And this is all one TC. No second TC coming through. Magic taught them everything that they know. Yeah, but I taught Magic everything he knows. He won't admit it, but I recall us sitting in a cafe in Heidelberg. Was it a day and a half, I think it was? Or actually, I think it's 2 days total before he took down Marine Lord. And we were sitting there eating kebabs, and we were talking about ideas, and he was like, you should be a coach. And then he went and beat Marine Lord. Only player to beat Marine Lord on LAN. Wallalow, just saying. Kebabs in a cafe? You're in Germany, dude. Everywhere has kebabs. I mean, I would call it a cafe the way it's designed. Anyway, castle's coming up. What a cool build, man. I'm still just in marvel of it. We're up to 30 samurai now. you don't really have the counter either, right? You've got like 5 crossbows, 1 nest of bees. This looks really bad. Cafes allow you to pay with card. I think you can pay with card. They were going to charge you extra though. Oof. They had seats. It wasn't like a typical kebab shop where it's like, oh, congrats, leave. Like, I think this is just differing ideas. The amount of times where I say kebab and when I'm talking about sheep and people are like, oh, that's not how you make kebab. It's like, it's in my country, baby. And this is how we do it in my country. It's Nippon time. Samurai around the back on the nest of bees. Army about to get wiped. Konnichiwa, mother ducker. Oh, the best part about this is the irony. Louis been like beating the Canadians with some wild Shaolin monk, not Shaolin monk, sorry, Buddhist monk builds at the moment. And now, ironically, loses to Japan because of mass Yumi. GG called. Puppy Paw, Wham, I don't care which one of it is, but either way, they are summoning intense Yumi energy.